Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the TCT podcast here on YouTube. My name is Gavin Campbell. Alongside me, as always, my two good friends, Tyson Snyder and Cale Fleming. Today on the rundown, we're going to talk about some NBA preseason power rankings, like way too early power rankings. But, NBA.com came out with theirs a couple weeks ago, and we need something to talk about. So we're going to go ahead and see what they have and compare that to really what we think. And then if there's an argument, we'll go ahead and discuss what we like and what we don't like. Cale, go ahead and take it away.
All right, so we're going to start with the West, just basically because I don't like the West. Let's get them out of the way first. Number one, last year they had a record of 58-24. It would be the Golden State Warriors. Some key additions they had, obviously, was Boogie. That's probably their Boogie Cousins. DeMarcus Cousins is probably their big headliner. They also lost Swaggy P and Pierre. So, Gavin, for me, when do the playoffs start? Because honestly, that's the only thing I'm banking on for Golden State.
Ain't that the question? Well, it starts in April, which is way too far away. If anything, I mean, losing Swaggy P, they lost some three-point shooting, if that's what you want to call it. I mean, he's always been an okay shooter from deep his entire career. We've seen him, with the Wizards, with the Lakers. He's kind of a journeyman at this point, and don't know where he's going to end up at this point in time.
Bulls.
And Chicago needs the help, don't they? No, but it really boils down to, we talked about this a month ago, DeMarcus Cousins. If he comes back even 50% of what he was at the center position after getting rid of, JaVale McGee and Zaza Pachulia, I mean, this team is probably if they already weren't the greatest collection of talent we've ever seen on an NBA roster, they eclipse that this year. It's just a matter of time of when Boogie comes back. If he can come back healthy, because we've seen it many times before. The Achilles injury is usually the plague of many players' careers, and usually they don't come back from it at all. But DeMarcus is still young, so there could be potential for him to come back and still be the same guy. It's very rare, but he definitely has all the time in the world to come back as healthy as possible. The Warriors are not going to rush him into this whatsoever. Some people talking about he could come back in January. I doubt that happens, but, he'll probably come back around the March, April area, possibly even right after the All-Star break. We'll have to see. But, yeah, there's no reason the Golden State Warriors shouldn't be number one, not just in the West, but in the entire NBA.
And episode over. That's all we really need to talk about. Golden State's ranked number one. No, that's not really a surprise. The one thing I do find interesting is they don't really have a true big man anymore. I mean, besides Boogie, but he's not going to be back till much later in the year.
Could be the playoffs before he's back.
Right. So that's the one thing that kind of surprises me is they let JaVale McGee walk. They let Zaza Pachulia go. So it'll be interesting for me at least to see how they perform without a big man, which they don't traditionally use the last couple years anyway. But when they do need one, they don't really have one that they can use. So that would be the only thing I see that could possibly hurt them, but there's no doubt that they're number one in the West.
Real quick, I just want to say, I think the only guy on their roster that could even play the center position, a true center position, would be Kevon Looney. But, yeah. I mean, this is a guy who's been in the league for 3 years and hasn't really done a whole lot. I mean, he's athletic, but he can't shoot. He's an okay free throw shooter. His inside defense, his paint presence is subpar. I mean, I just don't know how comfortable you would be doing that.
Right. Is that a guy you want to consider your starting center?
I think they might even look to running a quote-unquote small ball with Jordan Bell and Draymond Green, just kind of, on the blocks, or probably see Draymond Green more at the 5 spot this upcoming year. But, yeah, we'll have to see. It's going to be a different Warriors team than it was last year.
Let's just go ahead and forget about the Warriors because we already know that they're going to win the NBA championship. So let's move on to the second team in the East, be Houston. They did lose Trevor Ariza this offseason. Last year they were 65-17. They actually had a better record than Golden State did. Still didn't win the big natty. But they did lose Ariza, so they lost a lot of components in Ariza, whether that be three-point shooting, inside shooting, whatever. Ariza had it all. So Gav, with losing Ariza and signing Melo, which you're going to talk about, how does that fare for the Rockets this season?
Well, they lost offense and defense with Trevor Ariza. Trevor was a guy who everywhere he's went is another NBA journeyman. I think he started his career with the New York Knicks, believe it or not. Played for the Wizards, the Lakers. He's jumped around. He's on the Phoenix Suns right now. The Rockets are losing defense, 3-point shooting, basically the perfect cog for the Mike D'Antoni system of 3-and-D, which is how the Rockets were able to get those 65 wins last year with James Harden and Chris Paul. We all had those questions of how are they going to take two ball-dominant guards and play them together on the floor at the same time. Well, first they staggered their minutes, and then they kind of just figured it out. They spent all summer last year trying to work out how they were going to play together on the court, how they were going to distribute the basketball, how they were going to take their shots, pick and choose, and that kind of thing. Run the pick and roll. We don't see with the Houston Rockets what a few of the other NBA teams do, which is the mid-range shot. They kind of just took that out of their arsenal whatsoever. Occasionally, James Harden or Chris Paul pull up from about 15 feet, but other than that, that's it. They did add Carmelo Anthony, like you said, and this, if you're going to add a small forward, I mean, I guess I just don't see this as a good fit, especially if he's going to be a starter. If he's going to play the 4 position, which I would assume that he would. It's gonna be 3, which Melo likes to shoot a lot of threes, but he shoots less than 30%. And you need you need to play defense. And Melo doesn't like to play defense. He never really has liked to play defense. So it's definitely going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a struggle because Mike D'Antoni was his head coach when he was a New York Knick, and they kind of butted heads when he was there. So this is going to be kind of the reunion of that, and we'll see if they can put aside their differences, if Melo's willing to come off the bench or not.
And the second question is...
Who, me?
Oh.
Hey, P, they said I got to come off the bench.
And being under a seasoned coach like D'Antoni should definitely help him farther along.
That being said, Gavin, you're talking about the 3-point shoot, the lacking ability of 3-point shooting on the Houston's Rockets roster. They still got P.J. Tucker, who from NBA.com, obviously he's only missed 9 games in the last 37 seasons. The dude always stays healthy. But he was the best 3-point shooter in the playoffs off 50 attempts. He had the best average. So P.J. Tucker can stick him.
And because his team gave them confidence in the first quarter, they played with an even higher level of force. Marv?
And playing at a high level is P.J. Tucker.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they've still got P.J. Tucker to shoot threes when they need him. But I just feel like with Harden driving to the rim that they don't really need to shoot threes all that often because Harden's just so explosive. Although he will jack threes and miss them.
Yeah, 37 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just say this about P.J. Tucker. I think he's more of a situational player, and that's no disrespect to him. He's an undersized small forward. I think he's like 6'4 or 6'5. Mm-hmm. Sometimes he even plays power forward. So he's a guy that will spot up in the corner, like you said. James Harden or Chris Paul will take it to the cup, and they'll dish it out to him. He'll be wide open. This is something that he's been working on since coming to the Rockets. I remember when he was on the Raptors for a stint there when we went into playoffs, and I think we lost. That was the year we lost to LeBron in 6 games in the conference finals. But with that said, PJ, yeah, he's still there. He's a competent 3-point shooter when he's open. The difference is he's a spot-up shooter. He's not a shot creator like Trevor was. And he didn't do it all the time, but Ariza could still step back. He could still take guys off the dribble now and then, although he is up there in age.
For the bearded one. Of course, Thompson rarely puts it on the floor. Shot clock at 1, and Ariza.
I just think that a lot of people are going to underestimate this move of losing Ariza, and the Rockets are going to miss him come playoff time.
Oh, that's all I was basically going to add on this is I think Trevor Ariza is a lot bigger departure than people think. Everyone's like, oh, he's a guy that's played for 6 different teams. He's never really won anything, blah, 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 whatever. Trevor Ariza was the guy that was always there when James Harden missed 37 threes in a game. Or Chris Paul only put up 12 points. Or whatever it be, one of the stars or both of the stars didn't really shine. He was always there, always consistent, always picked up the slack where they needed it. Whether he needed to make a tight 3 at the end of the game, need a dunk just for some energy, whatever. Trevor Ariza was always kind of there. So I think this is a much bigger loss than people see, most people think about right now. But I don't think it will destroy the Rockets. I think second's a good place in the ranking for them.
So this next team, I'm kind of confused about how they're third in the West. The Utah Jazz, last year they were 48-34. They did draft Grayson Allen. Obviously.
I hate Grayson Allen.
Me too, man. I cannot stand Grayson Allen. I hope he gets rocked by somebody this season. But they still got, obviously, Donovan Mitchell. And they also did draft Michael Porter Jr., who did have another successful back surgery at, 19? Am I right? 19 or 20?
You mean Denver?
Or Excuse me. Sorry, I'm thinking of Denver. Sorry.
Yeah, that's
wrong team.
okay. Same conference,
Sorry.
wrong team.
But anyway, Utah, they got Grayson Allen. Okay, whatever. Bad. I hate Grayson Allen. I wouldn't mind seeing him blow a knee out. I didn't say that. That's terrible.
That is terrible, man. Jeez.
Grayson Allen is dirty. He's always been dirty. He takes cheap shots at players, especially when he was with Duke, and then he can't back up what he dishes out.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind that he is a dirty player, but Donovan Mitchell seemed pretty hyped on the draft or at the draft to have him on his team, have the Jazz take him.
He's got a goon.
So, well, yeah, as someone to take attention off of him because we know that he is the Jazz's brightest star, and he is probably now. And I know the West is loaded, and you can grill me if you want, but he is a top 15 player in the Western Conference right now. He is slowly emerging as probably an all-star, if not next year, which he should be. It's going to be hard in the West, but he should be the year after that for sure. Really, the question for the Utah Jazz is, and this is the only thing that I can think of someone putting the Jazz as a 3 seed in the Western Conference, is how good can Donovan Mitchell be?
Runs it to Burks. Catch and shoot 3. No. Rebound. Oh, my! I got to see that over.
Shots getting higher and higher. And Donovan Mitchell, speaking of higher and higher.
All right, let's see if the Kings can defend this better. And now Mitchell splits the... I guess the answer to my question was no, they can't.
I mean, we saw what he did as a rookie. Should have won Rookie of the Year. Ben Simmons was not a true rookie. I don't agree with that award, and that will stick with me at least for the next season. It's his team now. After Gordon Hayward left, Gobert should come back healthy, which is another key. Probably should have been Defensive Player of the Year if he did stay healthy.
He only
really
played 56 games.
Right. So this team is really Donovan Mitchell. You have a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, and I think if you just keep surrounding him with 3-point shooters, which I think is what the Jazz were looking for in Grayson Allen, he's still a decent 3-point shooter. He was in college. So if you put that into the mix, hey, listen, as much as we don't like him, he's a good 3-point shooter. I'm basing this solely off skill. So if we have him, we have Joe Ingles. You know, Rubio came out with a 3-point shot a little bit last year. Not great, but he can still shoot it. And then I think O'Neal, I can't remember his first name, but he's a decent 3-point shooter on that team as well.
Greg O'Neal, does that sound right?
I honestly I cannot remember his first name.
I can't either.
Number 23 for the Jazz, if you know who I'm talking about. He was big for them in the playoffs. And then even Derek Favors showed out a little bit, not with so much the 3-point shooting, but his footwork inside the paint. Finally coming around. The Jazz have had him for like 6 seasons now. He's finally starting to show up and show that he was worth like the $15 million they were paying him. But no, the Jazz at 3, this might be a little high. I think I would rather have someone like the Oklahoma City Thunder here, because we'll get to them in a second. But I think losing Melo was addition by subtraction, and we'll talk about that in a second. But the Utah Jazz at 3, I think it boils down to Donovan Mitchell. How far can he take this team after beating Oklahoma City in the first round last year? So we'll have to see.
Yeah, I think it's a little high, but I can respect putting them up here at number 3. I think they've got a very good team. They've got the upcoming Rookie of the Year in Donovan Mitchell. Because screw Ben Simmons.
I'll just give it to him.
So I think it all kind of depends on how good Donovan Mitchell can be. We saw how good he was in his first year of playing. I don't really think he's got anywhere to go but up still. Dude is crazy, quick. He can shoot, he can drive, he can dunk, he can do it all. And I think we just kind of started to scratch the surface with him last year. They didn't really lose anybody. They've got Rudy Gobert back, their big man. They only got 56 games out of him last season. So we'll have to see where they go with him playing more than just over half the games. So I think that's another big thing. But they didn't really lose anybody, like I said. So I think this team has potential to be a very, very good team in the West. I guess we'll just have to see how many times they have to play Golden State throughout the year. We'll see how many losses
hopefully they can
got.
avoid that first or second round matchup with them as well.
Right.
All right, so number 4, you've got OKC, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Last season they were 48-34, same record as the Jazz. Like you said, Gav, they got rid of Carmelo, addition by subtraction. The only question is can Andre Roberson stay healthy and get back healthy? But minus Roberson, they still got Paul George, PG-13, and they still got Westbrook. So those two guys right there, superstars, honestly. They don't really need Roberson. Because Paul George can shoot from the outside, and Westbrook's going to be explosive going coast to coast.
They need Roberson to fill in a hole on the starting 5.
That's true. Other than that,
Well, and I think we got to give Roberson more credit is when he's on the floor with I think Westbrook, Paul George, and Steven Adams, and you can put in any. I think it was Jerry and Grant actually.
Yeah.
If you or Jerian, there's two of them, and
I think it's Jeremy. The Bulls have Jerian.
That's right.
Okay, Jeremy Grant. Okay, if you have those 5 on the floor, they have the best defensive rating out of any other starting 5 in the entire league.
Yeah, you get Carmelo out of there, and it goes way up.
Oh yeah. Well, and that attests to Roberson's defense. I mean, he can't shoot a lick. I mean, we've seen him go like 17% from the 3-point line, miss like 8 free throws in a row.
And was rewarded.
You talk to the guys in the locker room, and what they'll tell you is that Andre Roberson, no, he's not a good free throw shooter. Let's not try to sugarcoat this. At the same time, and that's a violation.
But there's no doubt that he is one of the best defenders. And if he would have stayed healthy, probably would have been all defensive first team. So now that they have him back, I see why they put them at 4. They've taken Carmelo Anthony off the roster, which, his 27% from the 3 and abysmal defense, you're taking that off. That's an addition. Westbrook is already going to take, 20-something shots, so that's not going to change. This opens the door for Paul George to be Paul George. He's a great two-way player. He's a great complementary piece to Russell Westbrook, and we saw that last season. He likes to set picks. He likes to come off the screens. He's just an overall, he's like the all-star of a role player. He does every single thing that a coach preaches. And speaking of coaches, Billy Donovan, I still think the Thunder need to look for a new coach. I don't think that he can take the reins of Russell Westbrook and really tell him what to do, because it usually turns into the Westbrook show in the fourth quarter. If they can find somebody that can keep him in check, I think this team would go a lot farther. And that's no disrespect to Russell Westbrook, because I don't think anyone works harder than he does. But there comes a point when there's 3 or 4 minutes left in the game, and Westbrook just gets tunnel vision. He'll be triple teamed and he'll throw up a floater from 12 feet, and it's a brick. I think that's really their focus, and what they need to address is Westbrook's decision making. If they can fix that, this team's looking great. Steven Adams is a great all around center, probably top 15 in the league at least. Jeremy Grant, he's a great wing player, and the Thunder, of course, added Nerlens Noel to come off the bench. So now you have a backup center. Formerly in Philly, who was a great shot blocker about 3 years ago, has kind of lost his way in Dallas.
Ever since he tore his knee.
Yeah, and kind of just, trying to work his way back. In Dallas, they didn't really need him, and Dallas was a bad team, let's be honest, and, well, we'll get to them. But, yeah, I don't know. The Thunder overall, at number 4, I'd go ahead and leave him here. Still a couple of question marks for me, but great job getting rid of Carmelo. And hopefully Roberson comes back healthy. I think those are the 2 main things we need to come away with.
I want to comment on one thing real quick. You stated that Russell Westbrook gets tunnel vision in the last 3 to 4 minutes of the game. Yes, that is true.
He's got to get his 10 rebounds.
But that being said, who doesn't get tunnel vision when you're the only one on the team, really? Honestly, Westbrook's the only proven scorer as of right now. Paul George didn't have that good of a year last year. Not like Paul George numbers he had in Indiana, in my opinion.
Well, he was an all-star.
But still an all-star, yeah. But at the same time, I want to see Paul George score 30, 40 points a game just like Westbrook does. Now, at the same time, Westbrook takes over because he doesn't have anybody he can trust, and he knows that he can do it. So I'm going to disagree with you on the fact that you don't want to see Billy Donovan, or you want to see Billy Donovan or somebody kind of tame Westbrook a little bit, because I like the energy that he brings in tunnel vision, knowing that, hey, I'm the guy, I'm the stopper, I'm going to bring this team back, and we're going to win games in this crunch time.
Well, it's not a problem that like I said, I love the way Russell plays. What I don't like is when he has 2 and 3 guys on him and he still takes a shot when his teammate is wide open in the corner. So that's what bothers me.
What's the difference between Russell Westbrook doing that and LeBron doing something like that?
LeBron's better than Westbrook.
Okay, well, fair enough. But that being said,
LeBron's a 6'8" tank.
Westbrook is like
Westbrook's a tank too.
He's like 6'2".
Yeah. He's strong. He's physical. He's fast, and he's agile. So I'm just confused as to why you would say that about Russell Westbrook when LeBron would do the same thing. I'm just kind of confused on that.
There's about 3 players in this world that I would say, you get triple teamed, I want you to take the shot, and that is Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and LeBron James.
Okay,
that's about it.
Yep,
fair enough.
That's fair.
I just feel like that Russell Westbrook.
I would even throw Kareem in there because you can't block a shot.
You can't block Kareem's shot anyway.
I mean,
yeah, all right, fair enough. I'll lose that argument.
That's the only thing. I'll tell you what. If Westbrook was 5 inches taller, I'd tell him to do it every time. Mm-hmm. But the fact that I'm telling you, man, you can see it. There's clips all over the internet of him getting triple teamed. His teammates are standing wide open, calling for the ball, and he'll jack up a shot from 26 feet, and it doesn't make any sense to me. That's the only thing I knock him for. That's it.
Westbrook is by far more effective when he's driving.
Yes.
He's by far more effective.
Yeah, stop
he can
shooting
go
threes.
in there and he can tomahawk dunk that thing like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
But Westbrook honestly should probably just stick to driving.
Yes.
You know, because like you said, his field goal percentage inside the paint's insanely high. Because
Yes.
he doesn't miss in there. And it's just what he's the best at. So maybe you're right. Maybe they should just let him kick it out to somebody. I don't know. I just feel like that's a double standard when LeBron does the same thing.
Well, when Westbrook can shoot, what did LeBron shoot? 36% from three. When Westbrook can shoot 36% from three, I don't mind him shooting that. It's just he hasn't proven to me, not that he can't play. It's that he hasn't proven to me or anyone else that he can shoot the three-pointer on a consistent basis. He usually hovers around 30%, and that's not good enough to take 4 or 5 a game.
I think, I agree with both sides of that. I think it is a little bit of a double standard, but then again, Westbrook is not LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, even Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant, that's another guy. Sorry,
he's not one of those guys. He is a phenomenal player, great scorer. Just he's a pure scorer as long as he can drive the ball or shoot from 15 feet and under. Westbrook is phenomenal. I love watching him play. He brings the energy to the game that we haven't seen in a long time.
I'd even throw Larry Bird in there. I'd let him take it over Westbrook.
Yeah. But Oklahoma City to me is not the number 4 team in the West. I think this is a high ranking for them. I think getting rid of Carmelo was great. We saw what he did and it wasn't good. But what were they last year? 7th?
No, they got the 5 seed last year.
5 seed last year.
Which is why I was saying if they lose Melo, I think that makes them better. So why not the 4 seed? But then everyone else in the West either stayed the same or got better.
Right.
So I see your argument.
They were the 5 seed last year. The year before that, they missed the playoffs, right? The year before.
No, that's when they were the 7 seed. Then
they missed the year before that.
Yes,
so
they did.
They're progressively getting better slightly, but I still see them in a bottom half of the playoffs or just out of the playoffs. I still see them in that 7, 8, 9 seed kind of fighting for one of those bottom 3 spots. Because I think the last 2 years, the bottom 3 spots have all been decided by like a game.
Either one or a half.
Yeah.
It's been really close.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I see Oklahoma City. Them getting rid of Carmelo was a big move. That was great for them. But I don't see them being a top 4 team in the West. I think you could throw LA in there. I don't think people are giving LeBron enough respect, which I don't like LeBron, so that's a lot coming from me.
Yeah. And I'll second that because once we'll get to them eventually, but they're down here in the rankings. I definitely think they're a top 5 seed in the West for sure. And people are being very disrespectful and very they're underestimating this Lakers team for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think you could also throw teams like Denver in there possibly. No, I don't. We'll have to see where that kind of goes. We'll get to Denver in a minute. The Trailblazers, everyone's a little harsh on the Trailblazers, but once again, it's a team we'll get to in a minute, but they've dropped down in a lot of people's opinions, and I don't really see why. There's a few teams that I would put in front of whoever the hell we're talking about. Oklahoma City. The Thunder. And no disrespect to the Thunder, I think they've got a good shot at making the playoffs again this year. I just don't know if I see them as a top 4 team in the West. There's a lot of good teams in the West. They're really going to have to prove something to me if they think that they're going to be 3, 4, 5, somewhere in there. So
let's go. Okay, so yeah, I agree with you on that. This is a team that I feel like should be higher than them as well. Minnesota coming in at number 5. Last season they were 47 and 35. They did lose 2 guys off the bench that Thibs trusted a lot, but they still have Jimmy Butler. They still got Wiggins, who was in the bottom quarter of the shooting percentage last season. They got Butler. Honestly, other than them 3, how many more people do you need?
they got Cat too.
And that's I said Cat. I thought.
Oh.
Thought I said Cat first.
Cat, Wiggins, Butler. I mean, that's really it.
They got Tolliver now in this offseason.
Jeff Teague at point.
Yeah.
Yep.
So honestly, they're stacked. They got a good team. They should have been better than a 47 and 35 team, in my opinion, last year. But now all those guys have gotten to play with Jimmy Butler for a season and see what he's like. So I feel like that is going to be a lot higher. Their record's going to be a lot better than what it was last season. What do you think, Tyson?
I really like this team. Yeah, the Timberwolves. This is my second team here. This is my first team if the Bulls suck again. But
fair enough.
But the Timberwolves, I think they got a good shot this year. But I think there's a couple key things. Number one being Jimmy might walk away next year.
Yeah.
I think that definitely hurts their locker room a little bit, if not play on the court. Jimmy had come out and said that he doesn't like that everybody just stands around and doesn't play defense. And some of those younger cats came out and said, hey, we're not here to play defense. We don't give a hell if we play defense or not. We're getting paid to score.
Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah, and Jimmy didn't like that at all. Jimmy is a defensive player with tremendous offensive ability. He's absolute stud wherever on the field, offense or defense. He's one of the few guys that can consistently guard LeBron James. That you don't see that.
So two guys with that title, and he's one of them.
Yes, and these young guys trying to tell Jimmy Butler, I would say their leader, their captain, their one guy that you can trust for anything. They're basically telling him to piss off. I don't think he's going to like that. I don't think they're going to like that when he basically shoves it back at him. I think this is a major kind of thing for him. So they have potential to be very, very good. They have a lot of talent, but either one of two things is going to happen. Cat's going to start playing defense. Wiggins is going to start playing defense, and they're going to be great. Everything's going to mesh. Jimmy's going to re-sign next year. They're going to do great things. Or they're going to keep playing like they're playing. They're going to finish somewhere middle of the West, 4 or 5, 3 maybe, 6, and Jimmy's leaving, and this team goes downhill very quickly. That's the only two ways I see it going. They're still going to finish decent this year, but they have the opportunity to change things about themselves for the better or the worse.
The problem I have with it is that, excuse me, they have a group of 3 guys really is their core. They're Jimmy Butler, Andrew Wiggins, Karl Anthony Towns. One of them is a proven all-star, great defender, all defensive defensive team member, right?
Yep.
And then you have 2 guys who are part of those millennials, right? That are like, oh, I'm just here to get paid. I want to do as little work as possible, and blah blah blah, going down the line, right? And Jimmy's not going to stand for that. This is my thing: is that they got the 8 seed last year in the West. If he put up with that for a year and they don't come out of the gate swinging on defense, he's not going to put up with it again.
Nope.
He's going to throw in the towel. Well, Jimmy won't throw in the towel, but his team will, because they're not going to compete. You have to play defense, especially in the Western Conference. And I don't understand why a guy like Karl Anthony Towns, with the amount of talent that he has, why he would not, put forth the effort. I mean, when Kevin Garnett was there,
because he gets tired.
Yeah. See, when Kevin Garnett was there, he tried to groom him into not Kevin Garnett, but a good defensive player.
You just don't have the mentality.
No,
none of these kids do.
No, because all of our favorite '90s guys, early 2000s guys, they're either retired or they're getting old. And this new style of basketball, where it's just
lazy,
score as much as you possibly can, screw defense. That is like maybe 5% of the league does that anymore, at least coming in. So guys that pride yourself on defense, I really, I got so much respect for them. Guys like Jimmy Butler, Kawhi Leonard, man, I love those guys. But no, 5 for me is way too high. I don't think that Jimmy's going to put up with this stuff. Andrew Wiggins isn't going to change. Cat, I think he could change, but after the exchange he had with Jimmy Butler, I don't see it. If they do make it again, I think it'll be an 8 seed. I can't see them doing better than they did.
Yeah, to touch on the ranking, I think 5. I didn't mention that, but I think 5's a little bit high. I could see 6, 7, 8 for sure. 5 might be a little bit high, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility.
No, it could.
Same with Oklahoma City. I don't think 4's out of the realm of possibility, but I think they would be much better suited down towards 6, 7, 8, 12. We'll have to see.
We'll have to see.
Number 6, Denver Nuggets. Michael Porter Jr.'s team, Gavin.
There he is. Yeah, we found him.
We knew he'd get there eventually. So the Nuggets had a big offseason. One, can Michael Porter Jr. get healthy? We had a second back surgery. I don't know. That's just that's a lot of concern there with the fact that he's had 2 back surgeries. He's like 20. Number 2 being they signed Isaiah Thomas. I personally don't like Isaiah Thomas, so I'm going to leave that alone. Last season they were 46 and 36. I feel like with all those guys though, they can turn their season or that record around. But they do. Me and Gavin were talking about this with another team. We're talking about the Heat. They do have a big log jam in the front court. So, Gav, what do you think?
Well, yeah, they do, but I think that they'll be able to spread those minutes around. I think Gary Harris and I can't think of the other guy's name. It's Gary Harris and who's
Nikola Jokic.
I'm trying to think of his backcourt mate, and it always escapes me his name.
Oh, Paul Millsap. He's on the Nuggets team.
Yeah, he's power forward. Man, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank right now. Gary Harris and Jamal Murray. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Those two guys, they've been splitting minutes because I don't know why, man. When they play, their play style is so similar, and I can never remember both of their names.
Jamal Murray also just turned 21 a few months ago, 6 months ago, something like that.
Yeah,
so.
He's the youngest of the two, and when they play together, they figured it out. It's kind of a James Harden, Chris Paul situation. They got to split the minutes. Now, with Isaiah Thomas coming in, he will come off the bench.
Oh, yeah.
So when that happens, I think this is good because otherwise, who was running the point? I mean, you had Will Barton handling the ball. I mean, no disrespect to Barton, but he's a good wing player, but he doesn't need to be handling the basketball. So when you bring him in, I think you have a true ball handler there if he wants to come back healthy this time. Anyway, see, this is where me and Cale differ. Is I actually like this signing because I don't think the Nuggets had a true backup point guard, and I think IT at this point, after playing with the Lakers, he finally realizes that he is a backup now. You know, he had a great stint in Boston.
I will say that at least he realizes it, and Carmelo doesn't yet. So at least IT realizes that he is a bench player now.
Yes, so that's good for him. If he can come off the bench and give the team like 12 points a game, that's great. If he can get 15, he'll be in the talk for Sixth Man of the Year. I think that's a great piece to go up and hang up on the shelf. Now, with that said, they re-signed Nikola Jokic. That's their all-star. That's their stud. Probably the best he is the best passing big man in basketball. I'll give him that title. So this is great. This is a team that the last game of the season they're going against Minnesota. If you win, you're in. It was like an NCAA tournament kind of thing. So missing the playoffs by one, I still think that they could have even given Houston a run for their money. I mean, Minnesota took one game. I think the Nuggets might have even taken two. I think that they're overall more talented. Like you said, Cale, with Michael Porter Jr., if and when he comes back, I think this only makes this team better. And I think the 6th seed may be a little high, but it's definitely, like we've been saying, it's not out of the realm of possibilities. I would have had them at 7 personally, but 6, I don't see a problem with it.
No, I think 6 is very reasonable for this. Like we've said for the last couple teams, this is a team that could very possibly be 4, very possibly be 8 or 9. So 6 is it's a good middle ground. 6 or 7 is where I would have had them too. Denver was 6th on offense last year. Their offensive rating almost 110 points a game. And that's in the league, not the West. So they were 6th on offense with Jamal Murray, who just turned 21, a very, very young guard. Paul Millsap missed 44 games last year. One of the strongest big men, power forwards of the last few years. He's had a couple off years, but traditionally very dominant guy. But they got Porter Jr. Hopefully he can come back from that back surgery and we can see what he can do. But the main question for this team is, can they play any defense? I think getting Paul Millsap back healthy helps a little bit with that. But really they need some of their big guys to start playing a little bit better defense. They need everybody to start playing better defense. But that's the main question for me is, can this team play defense? Because we know they can score a lot, and they're very good at it. They've got those pieces. So they either need to start playing defense or play a lot more offense, which they're already doing a lot of. So
just play more.
But I think 6-7 is a good spot for them in the West.
Number 7, you got New Orleans. The Pelicans coming in. Last season they were 48-34. They're down 4 places than they were last week, though, from what I'm reading on the NBA.com, where all this is coming from. They lost DeMarcus Cousins, obviously Boogie. That's a big deal. And they lost Rajon Rondo, too.
Very big deal.
Yeah, that's an even bigger deal than DeMarcus. But they also lost Alfred Payton. Alfred Payton is not near as big of a player, but he still was a dominant presence, I want to say, on this Pelicans team.
His hair was dominant.
Yeah,
well,
for sure. He cut it all off, though. Have you seen that?
Yeah,
he got rid of all that.
Weird.
Finally, he might actually turn into a decent player.
Yikes. Anyway, they still got Anthony Davis, obviously. I just feel like Anthony Davis needs to get out of New Orleans and go somewhere else. They're just not getting it done around him, Gavin.
Well,
they're not putting anybody around him that he needs.
Right. Well, this is the one positive thing that they did. They lost DeMarcus Cousins and they replaced him with Julius Randle. Now,
very similar play style.
Very similar.
A younger body.
Just he's a little undersized for playing the center position, but he plays like an animal. Mm-hmm. And when he was with the Lakers and he got the green light, he showed out. I mean, there's multiple games that you can go back and look at. 20 points, 8 rebounds. Maybe a couple assists in there, a couple blocks. I mean, he's a very, very good player. I think this opens up the door for Anthony Davis to play more center. I take that back. Play more power forward. Julius can play the center because AD is a lot better shooter, at least on the offensive end.
Right.
Now, if AD wants to roam the paint on the defensive end, he can go ahead and block everyone's shot like he did last year. I think he had the #1 poster on NBA.com's top 100 blocks. So, and he also had like 6 more in there somewhere. So he makes a lot of posters when people try to come in his area. Like Cale said, I think that if the Pelicans can't do something, if they don't have a good year this year, next year might be his last one in New Orleans because he'll have 1 year left on his contract and he will demand a trade. Because you can't go your entire career, like Charles Barkley up until he, got traded to. I mean, he got traded to Phoenix, but after that, his finals runs, he went to Houston, and then his career just kind of died out. You don't want that kind of career. You don't want a Reggie Miller type of career where you spend it with 20 years with one team and you never win a chip. Your legacy is defined, and I hate to say this, but if you don't have at least one ring, we kind of get forgotten about. You don't get talked about. We saw that with Dirk Nowitzki, great player. If he doesn't win that ring against LeBron in 2011, how good is he really to us? It doesn't matter what the history books say. It's did you win a chip? So if the Pelicans can't do anything to make Anthony Davis stay, and I know that they have. I say try, but I'm going to put that in quotations because how hard are they really trying, right?
They haven't.
So, man, it's going to be tough. 7, I think losing Rajon Rondo. I'm telling you, that Rajon Rondo, it's going to be tough because regular season Rondo is an okay player. Playoff Rondo is a different beast.
Well, he proved that in Chicago a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And then he got hurt, which is that's why we lost the first round or second round.
It was the first round.
He got hurt.
There's no doubt in my mind that #1 seed Celtics team with Isaiah Thomas goes down in the first round. I think they get swept if Rondo doesn't get hurt. There's something about playoff Rondo when he's on your team, and we'll talk about the next team on the list here that he went to. It's going to be scary. It's going to be a lot more scary than people think. But the Pelicans, no, I think this is way too high for them. If they make the playoffs, it'll be at an 8 seed. I see them more as a 9 or 10 seed. I think it's going to be a bigger loss than people think, and AD is not going to be very happy. The Brow's going to be upset after this season. I'm
right there with you. I think 7's too high. I've actually got them around 10, 9 or 10, like you said. Losing Boogie and losing Rondo. Those are 2 major losses on a team that didn't really have any room to lose anybody anyway. Anthony Davis is one of my favorite players in the league to watch. He's phenomenal. He can do it all. I love watching him play defense. Another one of those guys. But Julius Randle isn't a big enough addition to me. We'll have to see if him and AD can even play together. We'll see how that kind of works itself out. But they've done nothing. They didn't sign anybody good enough. They didn't really have any room to get worse, and they did. I don't know if I worded that right, but they couldn't afford to get worse.
Right, they
exactly.
did. They got worse.
So I've got them 9 or 10. I think they missed the playoffs. If they do make the playoffs, it's going to be they beat somebody in the last game of the season because Anthony Davis scored 75 points. That's the only way they're going to make it in. That's about it.
So we're going to move on to the number 8 team, which should be like a number 4 or 5 in my opinion, just for one player. The LA Lakers are number 8. Obviously, they signed LeBron this offseason. I feel like they're not getting enough credit for what they could be and what they're going to be, in my opinion. Obviously, they signed LeBron. They added Michael Beasley and then JaVale McGee, who's the king of Shaqtin' a Fool. Like, there's like a whole 45-minute episode of him just on Shaqtin' a Fool.
Yeah.
But they've also got Rondo. That being said, they still have Lonzo Ball. Yikes, he can't shoot. Brandon Ingram, he's okay. He's decent. He's a dog when he wants to be.
And then Kyle Kuzma.
The guy that I want to see is Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma, I have a feeling that this Lakers season is going to be pretty dependent on how Kyle Kuzma's outside shooting is this year when LeBron kicks it out to him, Gav.
Well, here's the thing is, last year he had Lonzo Ball kicking it to him. He's not a threat. LeBron James, the biggest threat in basketball. So you're going to be open, and when you're open, you better hit those shots because you'll get an earful from LeBron.
He can hit 'em.
Oh, absolutely he can. I think he shot 37%. Yeah, 37% for 3. So that's good. I think a couple of guys that you're forgetting about here, though, is Kentavious Caldwell-Pope.
Yep.
I think he's finally got himself clean. He can be a decent three-point shooter when he wants to be. And then you have the hit and miss, the absolute hot and cold player of the NBA in Lance Stevenson. Now, with the LeBron whisperer playing with LeBron, this is probably my favorite storyline of the season, and I swear to you, I'm going to follow it every single game because I am more interested than I think anyone else.
It's just an interesting team.
Yeah, I think that NBA.com said it best. I mean, it's LeBron and the Misfits. That's what the Lakers are. So we'll have to see what they're able to do, but I need to take a page out of Stephen A. Smith's book and say that this is absolutely blasphemous. Okay, 8 seed for the LA Lakers. I mean, this is LeBron who has willed. Look at that Cavs team last year. The Lakers squad that he has right now has more talent than besides Kevin Love. I think that's the only other player that I think is better than anyone else on this current Lakers team.
Bombs, man.
Everyone on that Cavs team, I mean, and that's no disrespect to Jordan Clarkson or Rodney Hood, George Hill, but I mean they're not anyone on this Lakers team.
At one point, George Hill could have been considered.
I mean, we're talking about 4 years ago.
Old.
That's all it was. When he was in Indiana, he was a decent player. When he was in San Antonio, he was a decent player. He's getting up there. We saw him in Sacramento. He was pretty much garbage. He comes to the Cleveland, he's kind of garbage. So, and that's no disrespect to him. He's a great guy. I know what he does for his communities and charity. He's a great guy, great personality. But basketball, he's starting to decline. Now, when we get back to the Lakers, man, the 8 seed, I can't see that at all. I had him at the 5 personally. God,
5 makes sense.
Squeaking into the playoffs, man. I can't. I understand people are like, well, it's the Western Conference. LeBron's never played in the West before. No, he hasn't, but he's also won 3 titles.
He also plays the West every year in the championship game series. So,
go ahead, man. I don't even think say that. This just blows my mind. I mean, whoever made this list is out of their mind.
Yeah, I think this is blasphemy. I don't like LeBron, and this is crap. LeBron by himself automatically gives you an 8 seed. Surrounded by all these wily vets that we know can play, gets you at least a 6 seed.
And some young talent.
And surrounded by this young talent, that gives you 5-4 seed. I don't know why this is a question. I saw a poll on ESPN on Twitter a couple weeks ago. It's like, will LA make the playoffs? Well, they've got LeBron. Is this enough? And the outstanding majority was no, they're not even going to make the playoffs. And I saw an article from ESPN. LA, the Lakers are on the outside looking in from the playoffs this year. How LA is going to be the 9 or 10. Bull crap. LeBron by himself automatically gives you an 8 seed. You're automatically in the playoffs. He hasn't missed the playoffs 1 year in his career. Fact. He's not going to start now when he's 30-some years old and been doing it for 20 years, making it every damn year. That's all there is to it. So I think this is bullcrap. I think they surrounded him with great pieces. I would love to see how him and Lance pair up. But you've got Rondo to dish it to everybody because we know he can get 20 assists a game just because.
And even Lonzo Ball to dish it when Rondo's not in the game. Yep. So they have 2 of the same player, essentially.
Yep. And then you've got LeBron, who is the biggest threat on the basketball court in the world right now. That's all there is to it. I personally got LA 4 or 5 seed easy. So
that being said, though, I want to touch on something. The only reason why I can see them being an 8 seed is because LeBron, as we know, likes to manage personality, right?
Yes.
He likes to be in control of everything at all times.
Control freak.
Yes. That being said, he's got a lot of personality he's got to manage in that locker room because he's got KCP, he's got Lance, he's got Rondo, now he's got LeVar Ball. That's a whole other situation in itself. So
not even Lonzo. He's got to deal with LeVar.
Yeah, Lonzo he's not worried about. It's more likely LeVar. But he's got a whole lot of personality he's going to have to manage. And that's the only reason why I can see them giving an 8 seed because not only is LeBron going to have to ball out like he always does every game, and he has since he's been in the NBA, he's going to have to manage all of this personality in that locker room. So I know it's not strictly LeBron's job, but it's just what he does. It's a proven fact, too, that that's what he does. That's what he likes to do. He's got to put some of that on Luke Walton, the head coach, and Magic. They got to, help him out a little bit, but he's going to take over.
Well, this is one thing that I will say is that LeBron James somehow is a mastermind when it comes to putting these teams together. I don't know how he does it. I don't know why he does it, but it always seems to work out in one way or another. And like you said, putting all these different, like you said, Michael Beasley speaks for himself. Lance Stevenson speaks for himself. But it don't stop there. Then you got Rajon Rondo, who, when he was in Dallas and Sacramento, speaks for itself. Whatever that was. Even in Rondo with Chicago Rondo with Jimmy Butler, he had his issues there. And then, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and his DUI situation. And then you've got Brandon Ingram, who this will be his 4th year in the league now. is he going to turn into Kevin Durant or not? I mean, I'm still waiting. I mean, that was
Isn't Ingram the guy in the locker room that was recording conversations and stuff? And
D'Angelo Russell.
Oh,
and they shipped him out a couple years ago.
That's what I thought.
He's in Brooklyn, which we'll get to the Nets. Not today, but probably on Friday. And that was he should take over that Nets team. I wouldn't be surprised if he made the All-Star team in the East. But like you said, all these different characters, I'll call them. For some reason, something tells me it's going to work out, and I don't know why. But something tells me it's going to work itself out.
LeBron tells me it's going to work out. That's all there is to it.
I want to add one last thing before we move on to the Spurs at number 9. When LeBron and Magic sat down to go over a contract agreement, and Magic was supposed to make his pitch to LeBron, there was no pitch needed. They sat down and they were working out logistics as to who they wanted on that roster.
Oh yeah.
And then they formed this group of misfits.
Go get me whoever weird that needs a contract this year.
That's one thing that people need to understand is if you don't think LeBron James signed off on every single one of these contracts,
Magic ran us right past him.
You're out of your mind if you don't think
LeBron probably told Magic to go get these guys.
Yep.
So
LeBron told Magic, if you don't get these guys, I'm not signing.
Exactly. Well, this is what blows my mind is not only that. Last thing. LeBron said, "Get me Lance Stevenson."
Why?
He said, "Go get me Lance Stevenson. Go get me Michael Beasley."
The smart, because that doesn't have to play against him. It's just a thorn in his side is all they are.
And you know what? That's
Lance is one guy that's traditionally not necessarily shut LeBron down, but has definitely aggravated him and not play as well as he could.
You can't tell me there's any way that the Indiana Pacers took that Heat team 7 games without Lance.
Oh,
there's no way.
Not.
Absolutely no way. I understand that Paul George is that good, but there's no way they go 7 games without Lance.
Because it's LeBron going out there, man, I got to play this guy again.
And now he's like, I got him on my team, so I guess I don't have to worry about that.
Mm-hmm. Number 9, last year they were 47-35. The San Antonio Spurs and the Petty Popovich team. They got DeMar, they got Bellinelli, he's re-signed. They lost Kawhi, which honestly, that whole situation with Kawhi was just weird, and I don't really want to talk about it again because we talked about it for like 35 minutes once. It's in an earlier episode. You can find it in there. But they still have LaMarcus Aldridge and Ken DeRozan play with Aldridge, who's just now getting comfortable with the Petty Popovich system. Number 9, I want to see them guys way down low because I don't like Popovich. He's petty, and I can't stand him.
Listen.
Go DeRozan.
This is coming from a guy who's woke up one morning, got favorite player was traded at like 6:22 a.m. All right, I was pissed off for about 48 hours. I mean, livid.
Yeah, we know.
So you guys know. So with that said, let me just say that there's no way in hell this team should be ranked 9 in the Western Conference. They got teams like New Orleans ranked ahead of them, Minnesota ranked ahead of them. I can't see that. And as much as I don't like Popovich for what he did, well, actually, I kind of thank you for giving us Kawhi Leonard now that I think about it. But, man, this team missing the playoffs. Spurs haven't missed the playoffs since like 1997. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I don't see it happening. Pick and roll game with DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge. You got 2 of the best mid-range shooters in the game on one team. Yes, they got rid of Danny Green, but you replaced him with Marco Bellinelli. So you still got 3-point shooting. Patty Mills can still shoot the 3. They got rid of Tony Parker, so DeJounte Murray's going to get more minutes. You got a young, very athletic point guard. Still really raw, but I think Popovich likes the overall potential of this kid, and I think he could do great things for that team. It's going to be interesting. This is one of the most interesting Spurs teams we've seen before Duncan got there with Robinson and his misfits, let's say. So yes, that was 20 years ago, but this team, it's definitely not your prototypical Spurs team of the past. Let's not forget Pau Gasol is still there, so we'll have to see what he's able to do. I think he's like 38 or 39 years old now.
Probably not much.
So, yeah, definitely not number 9, though. This is ridiculous. I definitely see them making the playoffs.
As much as I want to say it, I think that the Spurs are going to be a 9, 10, 11 seed this year. They went 47-35 with Kawhi Leonard playing 9 games last year.
Right. You
have a top 3 talent in the league, only played 9 games, and you still won 47 games. Really, how can they not improve from that? They got DeMar DeRozan, who we know is going to play more than 9 games, who we know is going to ball out every game, who's going to love his city, going to love his team, going to love his everything.
Yeah, real quick, let me say one thing. If there's one thing that San Antonio Spurs fans can expect, this dude will embrace the hell out of you. Let me tell you that.
Yeah, because he loved Toronto.
No, who the hell loves Toronto?
Right.
Besides me. Like, come on. You know, it really blows my mind. You know, I'm not even going to go off on a tangent. Let me just say, you're getting a great player. He's going to love you. You're going to love him back. He's going to make the playoffs. He's going to do great things for you. That's all I got to say.
I'm very excited to see DeRozan and Aldridge play well together as well. Like you said, two of the greatest mid-range shooters in the league right now. I would like to see DeRozan develop his three. I think that takes them above and beyond. But for me, I think 9 is way too low. I would really love to put them 10 or 11. But I want to say if you put LA and San Antonio in that 4-5, move Oklahoma City and whoever was at 5 down to, I think you've got your playoffs right there. I think first through third was pretty good, and then I think you move these two up, those two down, and drop New Orleans out of the playoffs. I think that's very reasonable. But I think LA and I think San Antonio are both ranked very low for what this is going to be.
Number 10, Portland Trailblazers. Last year they were 49-33. I cannot name one person on the Trailblazers except for Shabazz Napier. Is he still there?
Yeah.
Okay, so I can name one person on the Portland Trailblazers.
Man, Damian Lillard, C.J. McCollum, Nikola Jokic,
Yes.
Zach
No
Collins.
respect.
Man.
No respect for the Trailblazers.
God dang, man. I'm sorry. My buddy John listening in Arkansas. I'm sorry, man.
10's too high, buddy. Buddy John.
Let me say this about Portland real quick because I know we're probably running over here because I've just been babbling on. Portland, there's no reason they shouldn't miss the playoffs. I mean, they were the 3rd seed last year, and people are going to say, well, the difference between the 3rd and the 8th seed last year was like 3 games. Yes, it was, but there's a reason that Portland was 3 games ahead because they were 3 games better than the 8th seed. Mm-hmm. So I don't see why they miss it. Yes, the Lakers are going to jump up there into the playoffs. I expect the Nuggets to jump up there in the playoffs, but I expect the Pelicans to drop out. I expect Minnesota to drop out. So there's no reason why Portland shouldn't be able to grab like a 6, 7, 8 seed. I see them in that bottom half. I don't see them in the top 4 again because I think the Jazz are too good. I think the Lakers are too good. The Spurs. There's just too many teams in that top that can make that top 5 that push Portland out. But there's no reason they shouldn't make the playoffs. Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum are one of the, or at least a top 3 duo, at least a backcourt duo in the league. So no reason, absolutely no reason they should miss the playoffs. This team is too talented. Nurkic is a stud. Zach Collins only going to improve. I love this team.
I'm right there with you. I don't think 10 is way too low because I think this is another one of those teams that's going to fit right in there with Minnesota, with New Orleans. They're going to be fighting for that 7 or 8 seed, about 1 game away from each other. So it's very possible they could be anywhere from 7 to 10 and be within a game of 5. So I would have put them at 8 in mine. I talked about them a little bit earlier when I said 4 was way too high for Oklahoma City. But I don't think 10 is out of the realm of possibility, but I would have put them around 7 or 8. They were 3rd last year, like you said. I don't see them dropping out that far. I think they're still a playoff team by far. You named off all the guys on their team. I love Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum. I've loved them ever since they started playing together. So there's no reason I see them missing the playoffs this year. I've got them 7 or 8 for sure.
Number 11, Memphis Grizzlies. Last season they were 22-60. Yikes. They lost Tyreek Evans, but they got Jaren Jackson Jr.
Stud.
Big pickup. I think that's the only reason why the Memphis Grizzlies are 11. Well, one of the reasons, but Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to prove himself in Memphis.
Absolutely. Well, let me say this. This team, yeah, like you said, the only reason they're going to be 11th is Jaren Jackson Jr. and the health of Mike Conley. If he can stay healthy, there's no reason this team could stay out of the bottom 5 of the West. They could. They're not a playoff team, but they could stay out of the bottom 5 if they stay healthy. Marc Gasol also, he's a stud. He's been Defensive Player of the Year. He's been All-Defensive Team, multiple-time All-Star. One thing that I don't like is the departure of Tyreek Evans going to the Indiana Pacers. Great for the Pacers, not good for the Grizzlies.
That's awesome for the Pacers.
not good for the Grizzlies because he was their stud. He was their absolute stud last year. The biggest bounce back season I've seen in a while from a guy. We saw him struggle after his first 2 seasons in Sacramento. And then going to New Orleans, struggling there, couldn't really find his role. And then going to the Grizzlies and finally showing out and got picked up by Indiana. He was playing for a contract and he got one. So good for him. The Grizzlies, man, I don't really have much to say about them. I mean, they've been bad for the past 3 or 4 seasons. It's really been sad because of how many injuries they've been plagued with. Because they are a great playoff team because of their defense. FedEx Forum, the arena they play in, I mean, it's rocking every time there's a game, and I'm disappointed that they don't have anything to cheer for because of what they've had to deal with. But I think 11, I think that's fair.
I think 11's fair, but what I think is incredibly stupid is this team could be a top 4 team in the West.
Yeah, they could
with
be.
the talent they've got, their problem is they just can't keep them on the field. Conley gets hurt every year. He's an absolute
Chandler
stud.
Parsons as well.
Chandler Parsons. If that dude could have actually played by the time he got there, that would have been great. Mark Gasol, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mark Gasol, absolute stud. When Conley and Mark Gasol are on the field or on the court at the same time, they have the point differential of a team that's 54-28. They score that many more points, and their defense is that much better when both of those two players are on the floor. The problem is they can't get both of those players on the floor at the same time, and that's the story we've seen for the last 4 years with the Grizzlies. I think they definitely improve a little bit this year with the signing of Jaren Jackson Jr. I think that guy's a stud, but this is solely reliant on Mike Conley's health. If they can get some of the phenomenal talent they have on the court together. If they can't, 11 is more than fair. If they can, they might make a run at the bottom half of the playoffs this year. We'll have to see, but I think 11 is more than fair.
Yeah. One last thing I want to say is if the Grizzlies have another season like they have the past few years, Marc Gasol he's gone.
Oh,
He's going to demand a trade. He's going to be gone.
Coming in at number 12, the LA Clippers. They lost DeAndre Jordan. That hurts because DeAndre Jordan, I mean, honestly, he's a decent center. He's a good center.
Decent on the offensive end. It's the defensive end where he really stands out.
And he can't shoot free throws.
No.
They also lost Austin Rivers.
Good for them.
Picked up Marcin Gortat and Luke
Mbamute.
Good for them.
That's a fun name to say.
Yeah, it's a great signing too.
And they still got Lou Williams. So Lou Williams,
he
can carry the offense like he always does. 42 and 40. They could potentially have Kawhi Leonard next year. So who knows? Not this season, but next season they could be a little bit better.
This is just funny to me. Think about that. 42 wins gets you the 10 seed in the Western Conference. That's how stacked it is. You could have a winning record and miss the playoffs by 2 spots. Losing. Well, first of all, they lost Chris Paul to Houston. Then they lost Blake Griffin to Detroit. Well, they didn't lose him. They traded him.
That sucks for
Blake Griffin. And then they lose DeAndre Jordan to the Dallas Mavericks. Finally, 2 years after he should have been there already. You guys remember that when they locked him up in his own house and Blake Griffin put the chair in front of the door? I tell you, it was one of the funniest things. Anyway, they got Sweet Lou. They got Tobias Harris. Luke Mbamute is he's back with the Clippers. He was with them a few years ago.
Didn't he start it there or something?
I'm pretty sure.
Something like that.
I don't know if he started there, but he definitely played there a few years ago.
I want to say he started in New Orleans or something.
Yeah, I think he did. So they've got him back now. I think this could be potentially a really good defensive team, even without DeAndre Jordan. I mean, Marcin Gortat is a liability, but you have Luke Mbamute. Tobias Harris is a decent defender. Avery Bradley is still on this team. He's a good defender. Patrick Beverley's coming back. If he can stay healthy, he's a good defender. It's funny because they have really good defenders, and then they have really bad ones. They have Marcin Gortat and Lou Williams. They can't defend anything.
No.
But they're really good on the offensive end. But then you have guys like Patrick Beverley, really good on the defensive end. I don't know, this is just like a mishmash of players. I mean, I don't know. They'll probably finish around the same spot. I think 12 is a little low for the Clippers. I think they'll probably finish around the 10th spot. But that's just my opinion.
Once again, as we're getting to the bottom, I think these get more fair as we get down there. DeAndre Jordan was a big loss for them. He was basically their guy, besides old Sweet Lou there. But like you said, it's a mishmash of players thrown together. Kind of like LA, but they don't have LeBron. So I think 12 is about fair. 10 to 12, I see him finishing with maybe not a similar record, maybe 38 and 44, somewhere close to 500, but not quite. So I think anywhere from 10 to 14 is about fair for the Clippers here.
I think the Clippers have every role player you could think of on their team.
And they got 2 lottery picks this year in the draft.
Gilgeous Alexander and
Zaire
the
Smith,
guy from Boston College. I can't remember. It's the point guard from Boston College. I can't remember his name.
That's right. I can't remember his name, but
that Gilgeous Alexander kid, he's going to be phenomenal.
Well, he's really good. If he can learn to shoot, he's going to be a great player, a really great player.
So those 2 things could help bump him up as well. But this is going to be an off year for the Clippers for sure. I think they're not going to make the playoffs again. So anywhere from 10 to 14, I think 12 is a good middle ground, somewhere around there.
Number 13, the Dallas Mavericks. Last year they were 24 and 58. They got Luka Doncic in the draft this season. Like we said earlier, they added DeAndre Jordan. Number 13, yeah, they're down there on the bottom, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, they could be. They could also be higher. It depends on Luka Doncic. I think him and Dennis Smith Jr. could be a dynamic backcourt. But if they're – I mean, like I said, it's all going to depend. How is he going to adjust to playing in the NBA rather than the EuroLeague? Yes, he was the MVP for Real Madrid, but this is the NBA.
This ain't the NBA.
This is not European basketball. So I really like his skill set. People say he's a little slow, a little bulky, a little overweight. Let's just be honest.
He can lose that.
For his size, but yeah, that's not going to be a problem. I think if he doesn't lose it his first year, next year he should show out because the potential and the talent this guy has is I can't even put a number on it. He's going to be great, and I can't wait to watch this team. It's going to be Dirk's last year. Hopefully, he can ride off into the sunset, and the team can at least get 30 wins. That'd be nice. I don't know. It's going to be great. They got DeAndre Jordan now. I don't see why that doesn't give them another 6 wins. Just those two guys, Luka and DJ, just for that reason alone. They still got Harrison Barnes, who's a decent player. It just sucks that they're in the West because if this was an Eastern Conference team, I think the Mavericks could make the playoffs.
Yeah,
I think this is a 7-8 seed in the East all day long.
They definitely beat the Bulls.
Yeah, it just sucks that they play in the West right now, and that they have to play Western Conference teams. But I don't see why they couldn't get up to like where the Grizzlies are at like 11. Mm-hmm. It's definitely possible, but 13, I see why.
Once again, I can see 13 for this. They've been notoriously bad for the last 6 years now. And I really like Luka Doncic and Jordan playing together. Doncic, you got a great guy that can pull up off the dribble, and Jordan, a phenomenal pick-and-roll player, which those two match up very well together. But I don't see those two guys, no matter how great that duo is going to be, it's not a 5-man team, and it's not going to carry you to 500 or even close to the playoffs. You said 30 wins. I think that's about right. I could see that. I would like to see him get 30, 35 wins. That'd be very cool. But 11 to 13, very reasonable. Probably closer to that 13.
Number 14, the Phoenix Suns. These bottom two teams are going to be flipping around in the West all season, I feel like. 21 and 61 is what they were last year. Obviously, I know, Gav, they've got Devin Booker. But they've also got DeAndre Ayton and Trevor Ariza.
And Mikal Bridges.
With a new coach and Igor Kokoskov.
So,
yeah, but I still feel like they need some extra pieces, though. They got Ayton, the big man. They got Booker. And now they got Ariza, who can play. We all know that. But I just feel like they need something else. I just don't know what it is.
I don't think that they need too much more. I mean, maybe one more piece to complete the process here. I mean, this is like the process of the West, if you think about it.
1 or 2 seasons maybe under the...
In 2 to 3 seasons, this team is going to be... I guarantee you they make the playoffs. I think we had an argument that in 5 or 6 years that they'll win the championship.
You said 5 years, 2023.
2023. They'll win the championship if they keep this core together.
We got $100 right now.
I'll guarantee it. So, with that said, I don't think Trevor Ariza is going to stick around after this season. I think he just got paid with like $13 million for 1 year or something like that. So, he's getting paid. He'll still do great things for this team. I think he could be a great mentor to Mikal Bridges and the other wings on that team.
Brandon Knight.
Josh
Jackson. And, well, I think, can Brandon Knight even play basketball anymore?
Yeah, that's the question.
Hopefully so, because I think that's one of the main things they're missing is a point guard.
Absolutely. Well, I think they're going to find out this season if Booker can play point guard because they're going to move him to the 1 and probably move Bridges or Jackson to the 2.
That's honestly their best decision because they did it with Ben Simmons at the Sixers. Honestly, it's their best decision.
Yeah. So we'll see what they're able to do. I think this is the team to watch in the West that's not the Lakers. If you're going to watch an upcoming team, this has got to be it. We got to see how Aiden adjusts to the NBA. Mikal Bridges, I said it before the draft, was the best all-around player in college basketball. 4 years at Villanova, 2-time champion. He's a stud. Then you got, Devin Booker. He's going to be an all-star this year. Let me say that much. He will be an all-star. I don't care how bad this team is. Phenomenal shooter. And then you got Dragon Bender. We'll have to see what he's able to come into. And you guys still got guys like Tyson Chandler, Trevor Ariza. This is just a very interesting group of guys. Team to watch in the West that's not LA.
This is my Cleveland Browns of the NBA. I have the Suns getting the 8 seed in the playoffs this year.
Oh my goodness!
I totally. You got a guy with a name Dragon Bender. You're gonna tell me that's not cool? He's a Dragon Bender, for Christ's sake. Think about that. He shoots dragons out of his hands. Besides that, it's more serious. They've got DeAndre Ayton, who we saw, one of the most physically dominant players in the college game. If he can adjust well, that's an automatic 10 wins. You got Booker, who we know is an automatic 10, 15 wins with him.
I would say 21 wins.
You got Josh Jackson and Mikal Bridges playing that 2, 3, 4, wherever you need them to fill in. Behind Trevor Ariza, who we know can play. You still got Tyson Chandler, who's not the big man that he was, but a good guy for Ayton to learn from and kind of progress through the season. You've got so many of these guys that can play. I don't see. I'm not going to go ahead and give them the 8 spot right now, but I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. I think it's totally possible that everything could happen right. They could win enough games to get in that 7-8, compete with those teams that are 1-2 games away from each other. It's also very possible that they could not mesh and get the 14 seed. But this is my Browns. This is my hopeful team. This is the team I want to see do so well because I like so many things that they've got going on. I don't think it's out of the realm that they get the 8 seed, but I've got them finishing closer to 10 or 11.
This team, and don't grill me too hard for this, but it kind of reminds me of when Kobe Bryant and the Lakers played their first season without Shaquille O'Neal.
Mm-hmm.
That's what this team reminds me of. But he still made the playoffs.
So
it could, if Devin Booker can become a Kobe-esque, not Kobe, but a Kobe-esque player.
I think we had that argument.
Yeah, it could. Hey, it could happen. It could happen. I'm gonna ride that train until it falls off the rails.
This exact argument where he compared Devin Booker to Kobe, and then
I didn't say that he was
Kobe-esque.
Well, okay, so moving
and
on.
Shaq-esque.
God, come on, man.
Esque is the key.
Esque.
The number 15 team in the West, dead last. This team was 27-55 last year. Yes, the Sacramento Kings.
Dumpster fire.
They just can't get it done. They did get Marvin Bagley III. They still got Willie Cauley-Stein, Buddy Hyde, De'Aaron Fox. They lost Vinsanity, so
to Atlanta.
Yeah, but they got Bagley to replace that, who's going to be good.
He's going to be great.
But De'Aaron Fox and Buddy Hyde, they aren't bad either. And they also got Bogdanovich.
Stud.
Yes.
Stud.
And
cousin of Bojan Bogdanovich.
Yes, who is also a stud for the Pacers.
Pacers, yeah.
I can't think of the other guy. There's one more I'm missing.
There's another Bogdanovich somewhere.
Yeah, but Gav, dumpster fire, obviously. They just can't get it done. They got a lot of young talent.
Yeah, they do. They have, I mean, like you said, De'Aaron Fox, Marvin Bagley is going to be a great pick and roll. I also think that Buddy Hield should show out for them. He's improved slightly every single year. And then Harry Giles will come back. He's going to be great for them. I can't wait to see him play because he's an athletic freak. The problem I have is that it's the Kings and that they're going to find some way to screw it up.
Yep.
And I don't know what it's going to be, but listen, I don't wish the Kings to have a bad season. I just anticipate the Kings to have a bad season. So we'll have to see what they're able to put together. I love De'Aaron Fox's game. I really like Marvin Bagley at Duke. Oh, man, it's going to be tough. Because now they got a log jam with Bagley, Labissiere, Cauley-Stein, Giles. I mean, they got to figure out this front court. So when they do, I don't know. I mean, if you want to watch the Kings, I probably won't. I'll watch highlights, but I'm not going to sit and watch a Sacramento Kings game.
Like you said, it's not a team I wish ill upon. I don't wish they're going to go 27-55 again. But I'm pretty confident that's about what it's going to be. And we see all these players, we see all this talent, and I think there's a deeper-seated issue than that. I think they've got a crap coach, they've got a crap system, they've got just a crap organization.
Well, that's one thing. I do think that they fixed the head coaching problem. I like Dave Yeager. I like Dave Yeager a lot. I didn't like their previous 3 or 4 head coaches, but I really like Dave Yeager because he's a player's coach and he really cares about them, because he was great for them, Memphis Grizzlies. So I think if there's one thing they finally got right, it is the head coach. But like I said, they'll probably let him go at some point.
Oh, yeah, like you said, they'll find a way to mess this up. It's the Kings. They are more than a few years out from being competitive again in the West, which sucks to say because I like some of the guys that they've got, De'Aaron Fox, Marvin Bagley. I think some of these guys have incredible game. But 15 is right.
Dead last.
We're going to see them dead last, no question.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's all we got to say. We were going to do everyone today in the power rankings, but
we talked too much.
That took way too long, and you guys know that. We talk way too long. So we're going to go ahead and hopefully after Friday, we're going to be doing NBA Jeopardy. I'll just spoil it now, so stay tuned for that. Or I guess we could move it to Monday. Do we want to do that?
Through the East on
We'll go. I'll tell you what, we'll save it for Monday because then on next Friday we got to talk about some MLB. So we'll go ahead and Friday, stay tuned for Eastern Conference NBA Power Rankings, and then that following Monday on the 27th, we're going to go ahead and come out with NBA Jeopardy. But other than that, that's all we have for you guys today. We ran over a little bit, so we apologize for that, but we'll get around to it. If you like what you heard, make sure you hit that red subscribe button down below. Hit that bell icon next to it so you don't miss a beat. Go ahead and leave us a like, rating, comment, whatever. And make sure to follow us on our social media on Twitter at @sports_twin. With that said, my name was Gavin Campbell. That's Tyson Snyder, Cale Fleming. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Based upon the view, you can't have too much trouble, so why can't we do it? Everybody's doing it. Let's start the fireworks, stand back and enjoy it. Oh, oh.